Hello there, survivors, and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're going to build this little temple with a connected house. For me, I built this as the Apothecary, so you have the main temple that you could maybe come for getting some herbs and mythical solutions to your problems, and then a little home right next to it, and I added a little garden on the side as well with my bees, etc. But of course, you can use this as a little starter base or just a cool addition to your own Greek town. As always, if you enjoy seeing these build tutorials and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. All you really need to build this base, of course, is the Astraeos custom cosmetic skin, so you can definitely build this on official servers as well. Of course, I've added a few extra details with mods, but those are all optional. Okay, as pretty much always, we start with a foundation and we want to go 3 wide in total, and then we want to make this a layer of 2. Then we bring out our quarter stone foundations. I have 2 over here and 2 over there, and then 2 normal ones right there in the middle. Then from there we want to go 4 further out and then 3 wide in total, and we can fill this entirety in like this. And then here on the side, we want to have 1 little foundation over there. Here at the back, we want to have 1 foundation here, and we want to go out by 4 over here. Then this one is also going to be 4 long in total, bringing that back by 2. And then we can actually fill this entire thing in for now. And we can also have these 2 going out. So that's the footprint that we'll need for this build. Then we can take out those stairs. We want to have a staircase right here at the back corner there. We want to have another staircase right over here. And we're going to have a big staircase at the front over there, as well as to the side over here. So that is pretty much the foundation. Now, if it does allow you to place the slope wall, you want to add that here. If you have cheats, you can of course go in Ghost and you can always place it. But otherwise, that is kind of what we need to get started. And we want to add in a gateway right about there. That's going to be the main entrance to like the temple-y part of the build. Here in the front, we want to have some pillars, but the best way to do it is to temporarily build a wall like this and then snap the pillars to the sides of this so that you know they're going to be the right way around for these Astraeos skins. Then we can take out the walls and we can continue the pillars up until they are 3 high in total, just like this. And here on the sides, we want to make sure that we continue them all the way into the ground like this. Then here we want to have railings over there, as well as along the stairs, and a railing around that corner. Then we bring out our quarter walls, and right next to the gate we can bring these up all the way until the same height. The same thing over here on the other side, just like that. And then on these corners, once again, we want to add in the pillars, so just all the way up, and then we want to have 1 down there too. And of course, if you want to make sure that everything is safe inside, you can also add in the gate itself. And then we want to add in some ceilings right in front of here. We want to add some quarter walls around this part of the build, just like this. And we actually also want to do the same thing over here all the way. And then we can add another layer of ceilings above, and we can have some quarter ceilings right at the end over there. We can take out these quarter walls again. We want to start adding them here in the middle, and we want to make sure that we have 4 of them right in the middle like this. And then we can start adding in the shape of the roof over here, just like this. And in front of that, that's a perfect place to have a statue right here in the middle. You can add a deco box and then add the statue with the Astraeos skin. And then maybe you can have like a campfire or something there. And then as long as you power them or you have a pyramid near, you'll have some nice flames and a cool statue in the middle of your build. Here on the side, we want to add this doorway so that you can go there. And on the other side, we also want to add in a slide door so you can go into the side building. Then we just want to start filling in these walls like this, so 2 high. The same thing here over on the other side, 2 high walls all the way through. And at the back, we actually want to make them 3 high like this. Then we go and make some windows all along the side. And we can do the same thing on the other side of the building. And of course, we can add in the doors and the windows everywhere so that we don't forget about that. Then along the top here, we want to make sure that we continue these quarter walls all the way. The same thing here over on the other wall, of course, all the way from the front to the back. And then here at the back, we actually also want to continue these. And then, of course, we have the 4 in the middle there. And once we've done that, we can actually take out our quarter ceilings and continuing them all the way from the front along the side of the building. And of course, the same thing goes for the other side of the build. We want to just continue this all the way until we reach the end of the building. And then at the end of the building, we can, of course, make the shape of the roof with those slope walls like this. And then, of course, when you use the third variant of the Astraeos skin, we'll get the nice slope that we want and we need. Now, for official, you would just want to take out your ramps and you want to start placing them like this. And then that is perfectly fine. For when you do play with collision settings on, you can actually go around and do this so that you have a slight extra overhang on the front. It's just a slight change. Which unfortunately I don't think is possible on official, but after that we can just continue, of course, bringing the roof all the way to the other side like normal. And then on the other side of the building, we just want to make sure that we also fill in the roof all the way from one side to the other. And again, with the Astraeos skins, it's going to look quite nice. We have a nice beam that we want on the top. And we can actually change the skin of those beams to the Frontier skin. And whilst we're at it, we also want to change these quarter ceilings to the Frontier skin here on the outside. So those that are sticking outside of the building, we want to change all of these to the Frontier skin. Of course, here at the back of the building, we want to also make sure that we add in the pillar right here. And then the same over there on that corner of the building. Then here we want to add in some railings just like this. And for some additional detail, we can add in some beams and some pillars around it. And I would personally change these to the Frontier skin for the nice bit of extra contrast. We can actually do the same thing here for this section, quite like that. And also we can do the beams here if you want it to stand out a little bit more, just like this. Because it's just a very nice contrast with the Astraeos skins. Of course, the rest of this temple, we do want to just change to the Astraeos skins and then we get a quite nice looking build. But first, we're going to focus on this building on the side. Right over here, we can actually add in a beam and then we can have a pillar like this, as well as a quarter railing or just normal railing actually. And we can change those to the Frontier skin so that we have another entrance here. We can add in a doorway so that you have that entrance over there. And then here on the front, you can add a door right around here and maybe a window right next to it. On the other side, we can also pick where we want to have a window. And then you could have windows here, but you can also, of course, kind of change it up whatever you want, because some walls are nice to place things against, of course. So then we get this kind of shape for the building. And we want to, of course, make sure that we add in the doors and the windows everywhere. Then here on the corner, we want to add in our pillars just like this. These we can change to be the Frontier ones. And then all along the bottom here, we can have a beam. We can have that same beam over here, not where the door is. And then here, again, not where the door is, but on the rest of the places, we can add them and we can change them to the Frontier skin to look a little bit nicer. And then we can add this little addition of quarter ceilings along the edge. Same thing over here, all the way along the side. And again, we can change those to Frontier skins to look a little bit nicer all the way through. And here at the end of the building, the middle 4, we want to make sure that we add in some quarter walls. Then we can bring in our slope walls to create the right shape. And then with the Astraeos skin, we can get the nice slope for our roof. once again, for official, we just want to place one roof here, one roof there, and then we can continue to fill it in, and it should line up perfectly with the building. You can choose whether you want this full overhang or you just prefer to keep it simple like this. With collisions, however, we can actually make that roof over there so that we have a little bit of a nicer overhang on the outside, which isn't too big. We can continue that, but of course make sure to line up these roofs here, because otherwise it's going to stick into the temple, and that is something we do not want. So then we can just fill in the remaining part of this roof. We can have the beam going across the top all the way through, and of course we can change these to the frontier skins. And here right next to the back door I would actually add a little chimney, because then you have a nice little bit of a chimney at the back, which looks quite cool. And there you go, you've got a nice little apothecary with like a cool temple shrine next to it. So definitely a cool cozy home. And of course, especially once you apply all the custom cosmetic skins of the Astraeos pack, it will look really, really cool. So this is the example up here of having the fireplaces as well as a statue there in the middle. That looks quite nice. Of course, the roofs have all the skins applied. For the sides, it's quite easy. Start with the first variant, then the second variant, then the third variant. And I think these flowers is also the second variant. Pillars as well. Third variant, second variant, first variant, and then I've actually placed the third variant underneath again as kind of supports. We've got actually the second variant here on the foundations so that you get these fancy sides. And yeah, I think that is about it. Yeah, you can of course play around with having some parts be the Astraeos skins instead of Frontier, but again, I do quite like having the contrast of the Frontier skins around in the build, because those wooden textures quite add a lot of nice feel to the place. And then of course I've added some extra decor as well, mostly being JVH landscaping to add a bunch of the plants, as for me this is the apothecary. So yeah, we have a lovely little garden right next to it with JVH plants and fairies pathways for these little stones to create lovely little pathways in the garden, which is really, really cool. But yeah, then you have a lovely little base. You have a decent amount of space here on the inside. I haven't done any interior yet, but yeah, you do see plenty of space. You can even add a second layer if you wanted to. And then of course you've got a little home right next door as well. If you're wondering about the chimney or the fireplace, that is the fireplace from the Castle Keeps and Forts mod. So yeah, there we go. A quite cozy little build to call your home, or an addition to your own Greek town. As always, if you enjoyed these build tutorials, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you again in the next video or stream. For now, goodbye.